Hello, it is 9 p.m. in RTD. It's time to English New Edition for tonight headlines. So we have Djibouti and China strengthen their political partnership. For the international scene, the US-backed Peace Council continues the reconstruction effort in Gaza. Welcome to our newsroom. The Head of State, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, continues to receive congratulatory messages from several foreign partners on the occasions of the celebrations of the National Independence Day. These messages praise the Djiboutian people and convey wishes of peace, progress, and prosperity. Among them, the Algerian President Abdul Majid Tebboune sent a telegram in which he conveyed on behalf of the Algerian people and his personal name his warm congratulations to the head of state as well as his wishes for development and prosperity for the Djiboutian people. He also expressed his willingness to strengthen cooperation between the two countries in the interests of both peoples. The Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, also sent messages to the President of the Republic in which he extended his wishes on the occasions of the national holiday and reaffirmed his commitment to the Djiboutian people. The President of the Republic of Croatia, Zoran Milanovic, also conveyed his congratulations, wishing Djibouti further progress and prosperity while calling for the strengthening of bilateral relations between the two countries. We now turn to the partnership between Djibouti and China on the occasions of the 105th anniversary of the Chinese Communist Party. A high-level seminar on political cooperation and the exchanges of experience was held on Thursday in Djibouti, co-chaired by the Secretary General of the RPP, Ilyas Moussa Dawale, and the Chinese Ambassador Hu Bin. The two officials highlighted the importance of political dialogue and the strengthening of cooperation between Djibouti and China. Discussions focused on governance, sustainable development, capacity building, and issues of peace and regional stability. The meeting brought together RPP officials as well as a delegation of Djiboutian engineers trained in China, illustrating the dynamic exchanges between the two countries. Through this seminar, Djibouti and China reaffirmed their commitment to consolidating a partnership based on trust, dialogue, and shared development. The Minister of Trade and Tourism, His Excellency Orbis Helaf Orbis, held an in-depth meeting with the Secretary General of the African Continental Free Trade Area, Wamkele Mene. At this meeting, he proposed the development of a country's program dedicated to Djibouti aimed at strengthening the country's integration into the African continental market. The Secretary General expressed strong interest in this initiative and committed to supporting Djibouti in its implementation. On the sidelines of this meeting, the Minister also held bilateral talks with his counterparts from Egypt and Morocco. With the Egyptian Ministers of Trade, both sides agreed to work toward diversifying trade exchanges, particularly by expanding the range of goods traded between the two countries. During his meeting with the State Secretary for Foreign Trade of the Kingdom of Morocco, the minister highlighted the competitive advantages of Djibouti's special economic zones. The two officials identified significant potential for cooperation, particularly in agro-food co-productions, opening new prospects for economic partnership between the two countries. Still in the file of international cooperation, Djibouti continues its engagement at the multilateral levels, particularly in the fight against corruption. The Republic of Djibouti took part in an international evaluation missions of Madagascar held from June 30 to July 2 in Antananarivo as part of the second cycle of the implementation review mechanism of the United Nations Conventions Against Corruption. The Djiboutian delegation, composed of 2 experts from the National Independent Commissions for the Prevention and Fight Against Corruption, contributed to the assessment of Madagascar's legal and institutional framework with emphasis on prevention measures and asset recovery. The delegation were received by the Prime Ministers and the first Vice President of Madagascar National Assembly, who reaffirmed the country's commitment to transparency, good governance, and the fight against corruption. On the sidelines of the mission, the Djiboutian delegation also meet with the Malagasy authorities from the Ministry of Justice and Foreign Affairs to strengthen bilateral cooperation. This participation reflects Djibouti's commitment to international cooperation, good governance, and the implementations of the United Nations Convention Against Corruption. In another file, that of Security and Defense, the Director General of the International Relations carried out a field missions in the interior regions. The Director General of the International Relations, Colonel Ibrahim Zakaria Sheikh, accompanied by his staff, conducted a 3-day mission from June 22 to 25, 2026 to Djiboutian Army units deployed in the interior regions. This mission is part of his responsibility defined by Decree number 2023-036 PRMT, establishing the Directorate General of International Relations, particularly in analyzing international development that may impact the national defense strategy in order to inform the highest authorities of the state. The visit began in the border regions of Loadda, where Colonel Ibrahim Zakaria was received by the zone commanders, Lieutenant Colonel Ilmi Hersi. They briefed him on the security situations and the main operational challenges in the area. The Director General then visited several borders observations posts, including Dagamader, Tora Bora, and other strategic positions monitoring cross-border movement. This visit allowed direct exchanges with soldiers deployed on the front lines in protecting territorial integrity, combating smuggling, and controlling illegal immigration. Colonel Sheikh praised their commitment and professionalism during this period, marked by the celebrations of the 49th anniversaries of the national independence. He also visited the Rapid Intervention Battalions in Ali Une region, where he was welcomed by local authorities and community leaders after a military honor bear personnel carried out an operational demonstrations, including combat rescue simulation and close quarters combat exercises. The acting commanders of the BIR, Commander Sharmake, presented an update of the battalion's missions, operational capabilities, training effort, and the development prospect. The mission then continued in the south of the country, particularly at the joint battalions of Ali Sabih. The delegation then visited the Ali Sabih joint battalions. Upon arrival, Colonel Ibrahim Zakaria was received by the regional prefect Abdul Malik Muhammad Benoita in the presence of the battalion commanders, Commander Osman Mohammed Abdallah. Discussions focused on regional security challenges, particularly the fight against illegal immigration, smuggling, and drug trafficking, identified as major challenges for defense and security forces. Authorities stressed the need to strengthen coordination to consolidate public security. The Director General then visited the post of Siaru, Asamo, Gestir, and strategic positions monitoring key transit routes for peoples and goods in a sensitive borders area with Ethiopia and Somalia. Addressing deployed soldiers, Colonel Ibrahim reminded them that the Djiboutian armed forces, beyond their operational duties, also play an important social role among local populations. He urged them to maintain constant proximity to community, essential for strengthening trust and stability.
وذا قرآن
The mission concluded in the Dakhil regions at the Inter-Army Regiment. The Director General of International Relations ended his missions at the Dakhil Inter-Army Regiment. Upon arrival, he was received by the Regional Prefect Hassan Abdi Roble and the President of the Regional Council is in the presence of the Regiment Commander Lieutenant Colonel Mohammed Mahmoud Assowi. Discussions focused on the security situation in the region as well as prospects for cooperation, particularly in social initiatives carried out by the Egyptian Armed Forces for the benefit of local populations. The Prefect and the President of the Regional Council praised the essential role of the Riyadh in maintaining regional security as well as its commitment alongside civil authorities in implementing public policies, especially in remote areas. We now move to a historical future segment. In 1882, in Obok, the colony established its first missions aimed at evangelizations and conversions. Facing them, local mosques and religious brotherhoods asserted themselves as spaces of spiritual and cultural preservationist future. When faith becomes an issue of resistance, this is the editorial magazine segment. From the moment it effectively established itself in our territory at Obok in 1882, the colonial power set itself the objectives of evangelizing the indigenous population. This policy of cultural assimilation was carried out alongside the colonization of the territory. Thus, shortly afterward, the first Catholic mission was opened in Obok in 1885. It was established by Capuchin and Franciscan brothers. A mission was later opened in Tajara and another in Ali Sabih. The colonial authorities multiplied social centers and religious schools both in the regions and in the capital. Examples include the School of the Nativity, founded in 1933 for girls, and the construction of the Protestant Church in 1964. All these missions belonging to different religious congregations primarily served the colonial project. Their proselytizing activities were supported and encouraged by the colonial authorities, who regarded them as an effective instrument of propaganda and as a complement to their effort at territorial expansion. Many missionaries sought to learn local languages in order to persuade and convert the indigenous populations. Apart from giving students Catholic names, this effort largely failed. The local population is deeply attached to their culture and their faith. Overwhelming rejected Catholic education, which would later be replaced by the secular schools of the Republic. However, cultural resistance to colonial occupation must also be credited to religious leaders and men of faith who devoted their resources and energy to the struggle against evangelization. One example in Haji Dide, originally from Zela, who settled in Djibouti and built the first mosque in the city located in the neighborhood too. In 1891, a merchant by profession, Haji Dide devoted a significant portion of his wealth to the construction of a madrasa and to charitable work to the poorest members of society.
as Hajj Hamoudi, whose central mosque bears his name and was built in 1897. He also played an important role in this cultural resistance. He purchased a large tract of land with his own funds so that local people could bury it according to Islamic rites. At a time when the colonial administration prohibited burials on this plain on the grounds that it was prone to flooding. Alongside this philanthropists, resistance to colonial occupation was also organized through religious brotherhoods, particularly the Shafi'i and Qadiriya orders. These brotherhoods, organized around religious shrines and Muslims, became centers of resistance to colonialism. They strengthened the faith of believers and encouraged them to oppose colonial rule. Many sacred rites, maqam, such as the Sheikh Gabood at the edge of Pul'aus and the Siraji shrines near the port of Djibouti and the shrine of Sheikh Rufa'i, inspired and galvanized resistance. There was also Sheikh Usman Wa'is, whose Muslims is located inside Camp Sheikh Usman. Sheikh Usman Wa'is Ismail was born in 1990 in Holhol. He received his early education in Al Najahiyya Islamic School located in the neighborhood one. At a young age, Sheikh Usman was began giving religious instructions at Hamoudi Mosque at the age of 20. After pursuing religious studies in Egypt, he became both a Qadi judge and an Imam. He was also an independent activist and served as the spiritual leaders of the PMP and the FLCS. He was assassinated in Djibouti on April 21 in 1966. Another important figure was Sheikh Hamad, whose mausoleum is located in the Humbuli Cemetery. Sheikh Hamad was born in Magedo, near the village of Asagaila. He was regarded as a mystic and a saint whose prayers and invocations were believed to have brought success to politicians and merchants alike. In 1977, independence activists renamed Avenue 13 as Avenue Sheikh Hamad. Sheikh Hamad is said to have lived on a street where many cultural and political movements emerged. He was acquainted with Mahmoud Harbi, Ali Arif, and their contemporaries, wherever through their preachings or through religious education. These sheikh and religious leaders served as bulwarks against colonial attempt at evangelizations. All of these religious leaders remain an enduring part of the nation's collective memory.
Under the supervision of the State Secretariat for Sports in Tajura and in collaboration with the Ministry of Youth and Culture, the Regional Subdirectorate of Tajura concluded the National Independence Week Sport Tournament titled the June 27 Cup, held from June 22 to 28, 2026. This competition aimed to promote national sport and youth unity, bringing together regional teams in three disciplines: football, women's handball, and swimming. The Regional Subdirectorate thanked all participating teams, institutional and associative partners for their involvement, as well as guests who supported the event. It also expressed gratitude to the State Secretariat for Sports, His Excellency Fatuma Ali Abdallah, for her commitment and continued support for the development of sports in the region. The closing ceremony featured the awarding of a trophy and medals to outstanding teams and athletes. Organizers praised the spirit of sportsmanship and fair play throughout the tournament. This edition of the June 27 Cup once again highlighted the role of sports as a vector of social cohesion, solidarity, and youth development in Djibouti. Still in Tajura, initiatives for youth continue to in cultural and educational field. The Ministry of Youth and Culture, in collaboration with the State Secretariat for Sports, continues its outreach actions for Djiboutian youth from the capitals to the interior regions. In this context, the Tajura Regional Subdirectorate concluded a series of activities combining sports competitions and cultural games. Several traditional and modern activities were offered, including Daburda, Afar Koso, and Haila, as well as leisure games such as table football, ping pong, chess, and video games. Held in a spirit of sharing and conviviality, these activities were attended by several local authorities. The regional subdirectorate expressed gratitude to all officials who contributed to the success of the initiative. Due to high summer temperatures, activities were oriented towards reflection strategies and educational strategies and concentration games, providing youth with a healthy and educational environment that enhance intellectual development. Concerning the regional scene, we now move to regional news focusing on digital development in East Africa. Ethiopia has announced that it has surpassed the 46 million registrations in its national digital identity systems, a rapidly growing program that is becoming a pillar of the country's digital transformations. This initiative aims to modernize public services, strengthen financial inclusion, and secure identity verification while supporting the development of a more accessible and inclusive digital economy. In the same regional dynamic, another strategic agreement concerning the energy sector. Rwanda has signed a historic agreement with Kenya to secure its supply of refined petroleum products, mainly through the Northern Corridor linking Mombasa to East Africa. This cooperation aims to strengthen energy security, improve logistics flow, and consolidate regional economic integrations between Kigali and Nairobi. For the international scene, the US-backed Peace Council continues its efforts to reconstruct the Gaza Strip and implement the ceasefires despite persistent difficulties on the ground, while the plan approved by the UN Security Council provides for a gradual withdrawal of forces and the establishment of a transitional administration. Its implementation continues to face numerous obstacles that slow the process. Finally, we conclude this edition with the sports news focusing on footballs and 2026 World Cup. Spain and Switzerland have qualified for the round of the 16th of the 2026 FIFA World Cup after their respective victories against Austria and Algeria in the round of 32. Spain won 3-0 while Switzerland won 2-0, confirming their progressions into the knockout stages of the tournament. And this is it for the news. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.